Hi, everyone. I hope everyone's having a great day today. Thank you so much for joining. Before I get started, if you all could just in the chat, there's in the right-hand corner of your screen, there should be a little chat. If you could let me know if you can hear me, just give me a thumbs up. I had a little audio snafu the last time, so I just want to make sure that everyone can hear me. So, oh, good. Okay. All right. I've got one. I'm assuming if one can hear me, everyone can hear me. Okay, good. Good. All right. Well, that's good enough for me. Not everybody has to tell me they can hear me. I just want to know that the majority of people, I guess if you can't, you wouldn't know what I'm saying anyway. So hopefully you would message in the chat. So as I mentioned, I did have a little audio issue last time. I will try to pay closer attention to the chat. So if there is anything going on, I will look to you all to let me know. So I'm really excited to share with you all today our new classification system. So also, I guess I should ask too, if anybody's having trouble seeing the screen, just let me know. I can try to make it larger, so it fills the page. But hopefully once we get into everything, you'll be able to see more. So before we get started, I just wanted to say that this upgrade to the system was one of the largest, most impactful changes that we made in quite some time. And so as a result, we have experienced some issues that many of you have been so kind to report. So I just wanted to sort of get in front of that and say anything that's been reported, we are working on fixing. We have already fixed some things. If you come across anything that you think is due to this upgrade or just anything in general, we really do rely on our users to let us know when there's something going on in the system. Believe it or not, you guys use it more than we do. You guys are in there, sometimes all day pounding away on the system. And so a lot of times if our users don't report something, we may not even know it's happening. So just really encourage you to let us know if there's something going on. Okay, just before we get started too, I will definitely want to hear all your questions about this new feature, and then towards the end, if there's anything specific that's maybe unrelated to this release, I'm happy to answer questions then as well. So feel free to pop any questions that you have. There is a little question mark in the right hand corner of your screen. You can start to put in your questions as they pop up for you. I will try to do my best, like I said, probably more towards the end to go through those questions. The chat is open. If you have something important to say, feel free to put it in the chat, or if there's something technical going on that I'm not aware of, definitely let me know. And like I said, I'll try to keep an eye on that. So, all right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. We have some more people trickling in, but this is being recorded, so I'll make sure to send that recording out to everybody at the end. So, So really, we're starting here in your classifications. So this can be found, if you haven't already figured it out, under your settings in your account dropdown. And there are going to be sort of two things I want to show you all today. And the first is, if you're on a plan that's, so our Firm, our Pro, and our Enterprise plans, they are all getting a little bit different version of what the other plans are getting. So those higher tier plans are getting a lot more customization, and we'll go into that. But before we jump into that, I wanted to show the lower level plans what their access is. So under schedules, everybody will have the ability to create a new schedule, and that will be done through this little plus sign here. So you'll put in a new schedule. will automatically give you a 3-digit code. You can change that to whatever you want it to be, and then you'll hit save. And then within those schedules, you'll be able to add different types. So I believe on the studio plan, you also have this ability as well to add your types to a schedule, and that will be done with this little plus sign here. So you'll just give it a name. Again, we'll give it a code. You can edit that code. And then on the schedule level, there are common fields for all schedules. So the lower level plans, right now, this is not editable for you. You just have your standard fields that sort of come out of the box. Then what's new about this is that you can turn fields off. So previously you were kind of stuck with the fields that we gave you. You couldn't, turn them off. You couldn't delete them. They cannot be deleted on the lower level plans, but you can turn them off. So if there's something that we have there existing that you don't use, you can just turn it off. You can also rearrange those fields now. So this is also available on the higher tier plans. So that's really it for the lower tier plans. You now have the customization of schedules and then adding types within those schedules, and then you can turn off your common fields and rearrange them. So before we get into the more customization aspects of this feature, I did want to mention that all of your older types, so even if you were on a firm or higher plan where you had custom spec fields based on types, or a lower level plan where you just had your type system that you could customize, those have all now been added to a schedule called Other. This was sort of how we could deal with incorporating the new system without messing up your entire type system. So if you're on a lower level plan where you don't have custom fields, honestly, the easiest thing to do is to go ahead and set up all your schedules. So using this this plus sign, set up all your schedules, and then you can start to move these older types into those schedules if you'd like. So you would just click on these 3 digits, select move, and then you'll be able to move them into a schedule. So that's what I would do if you are on a plan where you didn't have any custom fields already, because basically it's just going to transfer over the same way. It won't make a difference in any items that you already have with these existing types. Okay, so where this gets a little bit complicated or more complicated is for those of you that had custom fields previously. So what I would recommend, okay, someone's asking me to make the screen bigger. Yes, let me see. Okay, is that better? Kim, if that's better, could you just give me a thumbs up? Okay, perfect. All right, great. Okay, so for those of you, that had custom fields before, here's what I would recommend is phasing those old types out. And the reason for that is because if you have existing, let me find one where I have existing custom fields. Yeah. So if this is an old type that was in our old system, and we had added a custom field called grout. So what I would recommend if you have this existing is start to phase those out, and you can see what we've done. We say old types, and you might just want to start your new type system in a brand new project. Because otherwise, if you start to move these and you start to delete existing fields to make it work in the new system, any data that you entered into a previous custom field, it won't be lost. It'll still be in the system, but it won't be visible anymore. So I would recommend just starting to phase those old types out. However you all feel that's best done. I think probably just starting on new projects. And again, if you all need some help with this, I'm happy to help. I know this is a little bit complex, so you can always reach out to me if you have a specific need or question when you're going through this in your own system, and I'm happy to help with that. So that's a little bit about where your old types are living at the moment. So just going to pop over to the questions here. Okay, so no questions on that so far. Again, if something pops up for you, feel free to pop it in the question area, and I will get to it. So, okay, so let's start fresh here. So basically we did talk about this schedules level. So now Gather has these 3 tiers. So the first and highest level are schedules. So we talked about how you add a schedule, and then you have your common fields within that schedule. So what this means is any field that you want to make sure is added to all your types. So, a great example might be an item tag, URL, description, things that apply to every single item that you're going to add to a project, you will want to put at this common levels field. So, and again, you can reorganize these. So I think that will be really powerful for some of you that like to see your fields in a certain way. And then one thing on these as well is when you're adding your common fields, we now have added the ability to add a field type. So you can give it a name, then you can pick what type of field you want it to be. So whether that's a single line item, multi-text, so maybe it's a larger description box, maybe it's a number, or a true or false value. So, one example might be GC to purchase might be true or false, or is this, one option I've heard is a sustainable material, true or false. So think about how you could use that true or false. We are actually adding more data types. I'm hoping those will be rolled out in the next couple of weeks, but you will have like an options drop down. I'll show you this in a little bit, but you'll have an options drop down so you can put in specific data. Like, for example, if you ship to multiple warehouses and you basically have 3 warehouses that your team chooses from when shipping product, then you'll be able to create an option menu with those 3 specific warehouses and then a drop down just to choose one. So hopefully that makes sense. I'll show you a little bit deeper. I can show you sort of visually what that looks like as we go along. But so you do have data fields that you can choose now for your common fields. So again, common fields set at the schedule level, something you want to apply to every single item that you add to a project. And then once you have added your schedules, then you can add your types within that schedule. So in this example, we have our lighting types. So you can see here we have, all the different possible lighting types that might go under our lighting schedule. And within that schedule, now you have a second tier of fields. So this next tier, these are fields for all your lighting schedules. So basically, it's the same principle. If there is a field that you want to apply to all of your lighting types, you'll want to put it here in this section. So, here's our example. We have color temperature. We want to apply this to all of our lighting types. Dimmable, all our lighting types. So you can kind of see that all of these would carry across all of these types. So that's why we've put them in the second tier. And then the third tier, and again, this is how you add those. So always up here in the top right is going to be how you add your field. So you would give it a field name, and then you would select what data type it is. Excuse me. Okay, so so then we have basically a third level to this, And that is going to be custom fields specific to this very type. So in this example, pendant. So, you might add a specific type, a specific field to this type. So let's see, we have some other options here. And what you'll want to just consider is, like in our old system and where things got a little tripped up, is if you tried to add a general field to all of your types, like a custom field to all of your types, then we were seeing in the export checklist that field coming up multiple times. So that can happen again if you start to add the same field to like this specific area here, if you start to add the same field to your type. So let me just kind of show you. So in this type here, we have specific to CanLite, we have IC rated. So we should not see that field in any of these other types, unless, or it will show up twice on your checklist and basically in the spreadsheet view when you filter by schedule. So I've added this here just to show you. This is, if we have something that has the same field, we want to put it up here in this second tier. This will avoid those duplicates in your checklist and things like that. So, so if you're running into a situation where you're like, but not all of my lighting types do I want to include an IC rated field? Well, that's okay. Just know that if you don't fill that information in, it's not going to show up on your export anyway. So you don't really need to worry about that field just being a blank field on an export or something like that. It's just not going to show up if you don't have data entered. So if you have multiple fields, even if it's just 2 or 3 that you want to apply to specific lighting types in this example, you'll want to put them at this second level. So at the common fields for all lighting types. Okay. So, so I guess before I move on from this section, and I know that was sort of a flood of information. So is there anything, does anybody have any questions about this or comments, anything to add here before I move on? No? Quiet bunch? Okay. Okay. Well, then it seems like most people are understanding this. Hopefully it's pretty straightforward. Again, if you run into an issue where you're confused on what to do, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help. I know this is a little bit, it does require you to sort of step back and think about, how do I want to set this up? What makes the best sense for us as a team, as a firm? The other thing you might want to consider is how you'll be using these to group items together for export. So, if you move into your spreadsheet view and you filter by schedule, what do you want to show in that grouping? And how do you want those items to be grouped together? So, okay, so I'm going to move on from this area unless anybody has any questions, which I don't see any. So let's jump into a project and see how this actually translates into a project. So if I open up this pendant, so now you'll see we do have our custom fields here for our pendant type. Some of you may have realized this, and this is one of those issues that we are fixing. At the moment, you have to select a schedule before you can select a type. So if I clear this out, my types don't show. But if I just go in and select my lighting schedule, now I can select my type. So that is going to change. That is a little UX issue that we know is existing, and we're fixing that. So hopefully next week you won't have to select the schedule before the type. And that's also happening in in the Clipper as well. So so now we have, you can see all these great custom fields. These are also going to be available in the Clipper as well. So whatever type that you have entered, whatever custom fields or common custom fields for your lighting schedule that you've entered, those will now be available as well in the Clipper. Okay, so let's move into the spreadsheet view. So as I mentioned before, I think right now there's, oh no, I guess sorry about that. In the spreadsheet view, you are able to select your type. It just may be a little bit cluttered if you have a whole bunch of old types and you're setting up your new schedules and types. So it might be easier just to filter by your schedule, and then it'll bring up all your types in that schedule. So really not much has changed in this view. I know some of you have reported we did take away the ability to rearrange your columns in the spreadsheet view. That was mainly because you now have the ability in this view to rearrange how you want these columns. I know for some of you, where you want to actually rearrange is up here at the beginning. So we're in talks about how we tackle that. I know for some of you, being able to rearrange this first part is really what's most important. And at the moment, you can't do that in this view. So that's something that we are reconsidering bringing back, and I will keep those of you that have requested that updated. And so in the spreadsheet view, not a lot has changed. You will eventually, I think right now, if you select a schedule, it's showing you all the types. I believe that we're fixing that so that when you select a schedule, it will only show you the types in that schedule. You can also add additional schedules, to continue kind of filtering and searching. So again, if there's anything that comes up for you all when you're using this new feature, as it pertains to the spreadsheet view or really anywhere else, if there's any capabilities that you wish that you had, please let us know. We really love feedback. We love to hear from you all. So definitely let us know. In your exports, so let's see, going into the spec package. So right now, you're going to see a lot of information in your checklist, especially if you have added your custom fields. I did actually want to show you what this does when you add a field. So when you add a field to let me check this, sorry, to your types twice, in those custom fields based on type, that third level. So this level here, if you add the same field for multiple types in this level, you're going to run into a situation where it's coming up on your exports multiple times. So I wanted to kind of show you that. And I'm trying to remember which one I had that in. Let's see. Hold on here. Let me check something. Okay, so let's just say, I believe CanLight had that IC rated, yeah. Okay, so if you have those fields listed twice, when you go to generate your spec package, Okay, it's not showing up twice now. Hold on. Maybe this one didn't have it in there twice. Sorry, guys. Let's see, where did I have it again? Okay, let's just do this flush mount. We're gonna call this one a flush mount so we can see what that does. Okay, so there it is again, twice. We have two different types. And then when we go to generate our spec package here in our export, now you can see this IC rated is showing up twice. So that's why I'm saying be really careful. Try not to add the same field at that third level. If you want it to show up in multiple places within a spec, then you want to add it at that second tier. Going back to that spec package export. So we are working on making this modal a little bit more user friendly. So just so you know, that is coming. This is not going to be like this forever. We're going to fix this so that it's a little bit easier for you to come in and select your main fields, your custom fields, your pricing. So it'll be laid out a little bit different and a little easier to navigate. Okay, so let's see. So I think that, for the most part, that's pretty much it as far as like the customization aspect goes in the classification system. So just to kind of talk a little bit about what's coming up next. So these are the data types that I mentioned before. So I'm going to click back into this screen here so you can see when you add your fields, you have an option for data type now. And these are the ones that we're going to be adding in the next couple of weeks. So this is the options menu. So you will be able to put in a field name. You'll be able to select, the options type. And then again, you'll be able to pre-populate option fields to choose from. And then you can also set a default option. That's another thing that I'm sorry, I forgot to mention. When you do select, you have the option to add a default value. So, if you have, let's say, something that you spec, let's say you're doing a custom table with metal legs. And for that metal, you always put in a specific description for the manufacturer. If it's a custom piece that you're having built, then you can set a default value for that, and you won't even need to fill it in. It'll just auto-populate that in the field for you. Okay, so let's see here. So going back to those options, so that's the first one that's coming, and then we have the unit of measurement. So you'll be able to provide it with a field name, give it a number and a unit, and then a unit of measurement. You can set a default value, numerical value, and then a default unit of measurement value. So down below under here, I have just a couple of use cases. So one might be, if it's, let's say it's tile and you want to be able to put in the number of boxes of tile, then you'll have that capability now. Weight is another example. And then the last one that we're adding is a dimension field. So you'll give it a field name, the type, dimensions, and then you'll be able to give it a unit of measurement. And this will be, you'll have the ability to choose from, many different units of measurement. And then you can add more specific fields for, width, height, and depth. So I think this will be really powerful for many of you. So you can get very specific, like, if you have a seat height you want called out or an arm height, you can get very specific. So some of these use cases below might be helpful. So it looks like I have a question. So let's see. She says, my company uses the type functionality heavily. When I clip things online, none of our types show up since the schedule feature. Oh, okay. Okay, so Caitlin, so this is something we're fixing. So right now, if you don't have a schedule selected, you won't be able to select a type. So you'll just need to select a schedule and then your types will show up. So if you haven't created your new schedules, if you haven't set those up, your old types are going to be in the other schedule for now. So you'll just select other schedule and then all of your old existing types will be there and you'll be able to populate that. So sorry about that. We are working on fixing that. Okay, any other questions at the moment? No? Okay. All right, so then next I wanted to show you all, we're going to be making some changes to the interface within an item, so it'll look a little bit different. I'm not sure exactly when this is going to be rolling out, probably in the next couple of weeks, but I did want to show you this sort of gives you an idea of what some of those new data types will look like. So here you're going to have the ability to be more specific with your dimensions. Right now it's one long sort of field. This will allow you to put more specific dimensions and different type units of measurement. And then we have here, so this SHIP2, this is just an example. There will be this drop-down menu. So this little arrow has, it's a drop-down menu, and there might be 3 different options to choose from. So you could choose which, entered field you want to add. And then the last data type, just sort of example, here you can see you can get more specific with fields like, seat back dimensions, base height, seat height, those kinds of things. So, so this will be coming out in the next couple of weeks as well. All right. So any other questions? Does anybody have any feedback? I'm curious, what do you all think about these changes? Is everybody excited about this new classification system, or does it seem a little bit, overwhelming to tackle? I'd love to, anybody? Great, okay, good. Yeah, so it sounds like some people are happy about this. For those of you that are on a studio plan or lower tier plan, if you're interested in trying this, we'd be happy to turn this on for you for a 2-week trial. That way you can sort of test it out and see if it's something that would be valuable for your firm. I know for some of our customers that were using the older custom fields, it didn't really work because it was very hard to add general fields to multiple types. You now have that capability, so it is much more robust system. Okay, so I have another question. Let's see. Okay, so is there a way to export a spec package that is sorted by schedule? Great question, Chloe, thank you. So not at the moment. That is something that we are considering, adding that capability. So, if this is something that would be important for your team, I encourage anyone to set up a call with Brian. He is doing customer development interviews right now to try to understand if some of these features that we have planned are actually something that would be valuable. And again, we love to hear from you all. So if anybody wants to schedule a meeting with him, let me know. I'd be happy to send you that calendar link. Actually, I should have had it ready to send in the chat here, but just reach out to me. I'm happy to share that. And so again, we don't yet have the ability to export by schedule, but that is something we are considering. So going forward, you still will be able to filter in the spreadsheet view. So if we go into the spreadsheet view, you should be able to filter by a specific schedule, and it will pull up all of the types in that schedule, and then you could generate your export. But actually just exporting by schedule is not available at the moment. Okay, so let's see, I have another question. Is there a way to double assign types? Double assign types. I'm not sure that I understand completely. Let's see. Do you mean double assign types? Kim, I'm not sure I understand. Maybe could you explain a little bit more about the use case? That would be really helpful. So Kim, if you could, oh wait, maybe you did. Add multiple types to a schedule. Oh, okay. Yeah, so sorry. So basically Kim's asking, can you add multiple types to a schedule? So yes. So if we're at this highest level here of schedules, then let's say we're just going to go into our lighting schedule, and this is where you can add multiple types. So under your schedule. So you would click on, for lighting types, you would click on this plus sign here to add another type within a lighting schedule. Does that answer your question, Kim? You could maybe give me a thumbs up. Okay. All right. Well, Kim, if I misunderstood again and you need more clarity on that, just reach out to me directly. We can. Oh, okay. She says yes. Okay. Okay. So next question. My company uses. Oh no, I already answered that one. Sorry, I just did not get rid of it. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so okay, let's see. Here's another one. So is there a way to add an item to multiple areas without it exporting multiple times? For example, if a tile is going in 2 different bathrooms, would I have to duplicate that item? So yes, currently the system still operates the way that it Another thing on our roadmap. So items in multiple areas is another that is on our roadmap for this year. Again, that is something Brian is getting feedback on from our customers. So it sounds like Chloe, I might enlist your team to talk to Brian. It sounds like a couple of the things on our roadmap would be really valuable for y'all. So yes, that is coming. All right, so next question. I love this new structure. Are you considering multiple spreadsheet views to manage various spec attributes on one view and tracking on another? Okay, so I think, first of all, I'm excited that you love this new structure. And I think what you're asking is, in the spreadsheet view, will you be able to set presets basically? So going in and unchecking some of these columns and then setting it up as a preset, so you could then go in and say, I just want to look at tracking. I just want to look at specs. I just want to look at pricing. I think that's what you're saying. Maybe Reiki, you could give me just sort of a thumbs up or a yes if that's what if I'm right on that. And if that is the case, then this is something we have had lots of conversations about. And we do think we plan on adding this presets. I will say things start to get complicated when we want to rearrange the columns too. But we're working on this to try to figure out the best way to execute that. So being able to rearrange your columns in the order that you wanted to, and then have a preset that you can just select, to quickly go to a specific view, is something that we're in talks about. And another good reason to chat with Brian if you're interested in having a voice, having an opinion, and giving us your thoughts and feedback. All right, so any other questions? Comments, feedback? Is anybody confused by anything that I went over? Like I said, I know it's kind of a lot, and sometimes I'm too close to it because I understand it more, sometimes harder to teach than when you already know how something works. So if anybody is confused by anything I went over, please feel free to pop a question in. I'm happy to go over it again. And I'm happy to, help you one-on-one if you need anything. So the other thing to mention that we are adding, so I mentioned these new data types that are coming, some of the improvements in the spreadsheet view. We're also going to be adding instructions. So you'll be able to populate, instructions in I believe it's going to be at the settings level, so that you'll be able to add special instructions to your items now. So when you go to export, those instructions will be included with that specific item. I know for many of you, you're now having to, open your spec packages in Adobe and slide those terms and conditions or those special instructions sort of in behind your spec. You won't need to do that anymore. You will be able to add those in together and include those in the spec package. So those are kind of the big things that are up and coming. As I mentioned before, we do have plans for items in multiple areas. We will be adding a revision history. Many of you have requested that. And so revisions, and then also change history. So within an item, seeing what changes have been made and by who. So I think that will be super valuable for many of you. And let's see what else. I know that we're also talking about freeform tags. That is also on that list as well. Okay, so I have another question here. So I missed the first 5 minutes. How do we add types to the schedule field? We currently only have other showing. Okay. So so right now, you only have this one showing here, other. That's because, excuse me, that's where all of your old types are. So you can see we named our schedule other old types, just so we understand. Those are our old types, and they're all existing there in the other schedule. So Deborah, I'm not sure what plan you all are on, but if you wanted to create types within your schedules, so you'll just set up your schedule, clicking on this plus sign here, you can add a new schedule. It will auto-populate a code for you. You can edit that, make that whatever you want, and then you'll hit save. And then you'll have within that schedule the ability to add types to that schedule. So that'll be here. You'll just click this little arrow. It will open up types, and then you can add your types there. Again, it will give you a little code, which you can edit if you want. Now, if you wanted to add, look at your common fields for all schedules, that's going to be here underneath schedules. These are your fields that apply to all of your types in your system. So right now, depending on the plan that you're on, you can either turn them off if they're a field that you don't use. In both plans, you can turn them off. You can also rearrange them. And then on the higher tier plans, you can add new common fields to your common fields for all your schedules. Or you can rename existing ones or delete them. So a little bit more power and control there on the firm plan. So Deborah, hopefully that answers your question. If not, let me know. Okay. So it looks like I have a comment. I'd love to see an option to preview and export to make sure it's all correct prior to actually creating the export. Yes, that is something we have also talked about. And we do have plans. We have a lot of plans over the next year. With development, things never go the way that we expect. And so it's really hard for me to put a timeline on this, but on our roadmap, we do have what we're sort of calling better exports. And part of that hope includes showing a preview of the export before you generate it. Because we know oftentimes you might generate a very large package and you forgot to add a field and now you have to regenerate it. So yes, that is something that we know would be super valuable. So thank you for that, Jessica. Okay, anyone else? I guess at this point, I feel like we've covered the new classification system. If anybody has any questions on that or comments, feel free to send those. I'll kind of open this up now to any other questions while you have me on the platform in general. If there's anything that you all have questions about or want me to cover, please feel free to put those in the chat or the Q&A box. No? Okay. Well, I think I'm trying to think if make sure I covered everything. I feel like I did. Again, if anybody is struggling with this on their end, please feel free to reach out to me. My email is Scottie, SCOTDIE @gatherit.co. We want this to be as valuable for you all as possible. We think it's really, really powerful, and once you start using it, you're going to just, it's going to be a super valuable upgrade for those of you that have it. And so helping you set this up in a way that's meaningful is important to us. So definitely use me if you need help. Okay, so I have another question. Is there a way to tell what plan my company has? So you can look in so if you go to your account dropdown and you go to company profile, now this will depend a little bit on your role. If you have an owner role or a super admin role, you should be able to see when you go to plan and billing what plan you're on. If you don't have an owner or super admin role, you can determine the plan you're on at the moment by how many core team members you have. So you might come here and see, that you have X of 5. If you have X of 5 or, less than 5, then you're going to be on a lower tier plan. If you have, like in this example, 6 of 10, 10 or greater, you're going to be on the Firm, Pro, or Enterprise plan. And those are the plans that have the real customization aspects to it. And you can always reach out to our team and we can help you figure that out if you're not sure what plan you're on. All right. Well, I think unless there's any other burning questions, if anybody needs help with anything before we jump off, then I will go ahead and end things here. Again, just a reminder, if you run into anything a little bit funky that, seems to be different than when we made this big update, please let us know. We really do appreciate it. So don't be shy. Just send us a message in the chat and say, hey, this is weird, or this isn't working right, or this isn't how it used to be. And we will address it immediately. And then if you need help setting this up, reach out to me. And I'll work with you on figuring out how to help you get things set up properly. All right. Well, thank you again, everyone. I will be holding more of these, so that, over time, if you have more questions, you could always bring them to the next webinar or send them to us in the chat. All right, everyone, I just thank you so much for taking the time to sit through this with me today, and I hope you have a great afternoon. Bye.